Hello, sportsmen. Here we are on the brink of our outdoor fair in Brighton. We're going to tell you about that, the last-minute details at the end of the show. But first, we're going to get you fishing in July. July is a month when you can catch northern pike, big northern pike. This is a trip that we did 4th of July weekend a couple years ago. We're also going to take you duck hunting in Canada because Bob Steiner, who we hunted with, is going to be at the outdoor fair. And then we'll cover those outdoor fair events. So stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost, and you're watching The Practical Sportsman. And let's get ready to go. Sunrise. What a beautiful part of the day. This is Fishing Camp, Northern Ontario in July. At the bow of the boat, my 21-year-old son, Zach. At the motor, my 15-year-old son, Jason. And in one of the boats ahead, my dad. It was a father-son fishing trip. My favorite lure, by the way, is one my dad introduced me to in Canada when I was 10 years old, a gold Williams wobbler. I guess it's just nostalgia, but there's always been something special about the lure I used for pike and walleye fishing with my dad back in the 50s. And now on this father-son-grandson trip in the 80s, I'm using the same lure, casting and trolling for pike and walleye. Carl Salling was fishing with his son Mike, who caught a nice little pike early in the week.
That's like getting right over the back of the head. These are just the little guys.
The river we're fishing is the Atawatapaskat, which flows into the Hudson Bay. We're at Pym Island, an Indian-owned camp, and Carl Salling from In Season Adventures books trips to this camp. It's the northernmost fishing camp in Ontario. It's not known for lots of fish, it's known for trophies, but we warm up on some smaller ones.
Oh, no, that is not a bad walleye at all. Ooh. Oh, we got him under the chin. A nice Canadian walleye. Well, what do you think, John? Shore lunch?
That's it.
Shore lunch, or do you think we'll catch a lot more?
Yeah, I guess we might as well put them back.
Look at the teeth on those.
Now here's where a fisherman gambles on how many he's going to catch.
Oh! You know, they sit there so nice for so long, and you can look at them, and then they go haywire. Well, we'll let them go.
Now this is something I don't often do, but we're only keeping fish we're going to eat that night. The wind picks up. I switch to a spinnerbait casting next to the islands. In northern Ontario in July, the weather can change on a moment's notice. You'll often have several different conditions in one day. Rain gear should be with you all the time because you'll wear it frequently. You don't want to stop fishing just because of a little shower.
Not a great one. Oh, he's hooked right in the corner of the mouth.
Remember when I tossed that walleye back? Well, it's still haunting me.
Ooh-wee. Now tell me I'm not living dangerously. No wire leader. But they oftentimes hook in the corner of the mouth. That's not a bad one. Not a bad one. Do we need him for dinner? Do we need him for dinner, John?
We might. Now let's count on them for a few walleyes.
You think we have enough walleyes? I don't know. No, he's going for dinner. I think we need him tonight. Yeah, we better get the stringer.
I'm going to put this one back into the water too. On the stringer. Nothing like eating fresh fish for dinner, watching the sun go down on the Atawatapaskat and listening to the mosquitoes doing their blood dance. You want to keep them at ear's length, though. Forget your American Express card up here, but don't leave home without insect repellent. A new day, a new rainstorm, but they don't last long. Maybe the rain would bring good luck to Jason and Zach. Hold it. Do I hear him yelling for us?
Oh, that looks like a nice one, Zach. It is. Oh, that is a nice one.
Put the net in the water, Jace. The net in the water. Zach will bring the pike back to it. Don't extend so far, Jace.
Come on.
Got it. Oh, Zach!
Jeez.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Outstanding! Talk about pride. The boys' pride in that trophy pike and my pride in my boys. All of us were on cloud nine.
Great. You have got to be thrilled.
He hit that and he said, I got a snag. I hit it in reverse and he said, no, it's a fish.
Were you trolling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where you gotta, that's the only way these weedless hooks will get set.
I know.
Let's see that. So that, here, take my hand here and pull me over. Hand me the net. Oh, Zach, that is great.
That was a fun fight.
Yeah.
Well, it must have taken quite a
sitting
while
here.
because you whistled quite a while ago.
I said, big. Did you hear me yell, big fish?
Okay. Oh, look at that. Look at that weedless lure. He just sucked it right down there. Now, that is not a huge lure either.
No.
We're going to have to keep, we're keeping this one.
Oh, we'll keep this one, Zach. You want this one for the wall, don't you?
Yep.
Yes.
No, I don't know about getting this back.
You
Look
don't.
at the teeth. Look at the teeth. I hope it doesn't decide to chomp down here, because that, you know, on the top, those are all teeth in there, and these are teeth all around the bottom jaw. And I don't know. I think I can use the dehooker.
Okay.
Now these gills, I tell you, these gills are every bit as sharp as. Okay, now
Might need these.
go ahead, put the
Well, that's
spreader.
a fish there, finally.
That is a fish.
Good job, Zach. Good job.
He fought for
Okay.
5 minutes
Yeah.
there.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the spreaders. Now, these are called pike spreaders, folks. You need them especially for these big pike to hold the mouth open like that. I'm going to take this dehooker. Can you hold it over here a little bit farther and get it down on the hook?
Look at the size of the teeth. Jeez.
Okay, now I've got it on the hook right there and lined up with the leader. We'll pull the trigger, and with any luck, there, it comes right out. The magic bait, a silver daredevil spoon with ripple rind. The fishing camp, Carl Salling's in-season adventures. Zach, hold your fish up like you would for the trophy book. Yeah, attaboy. I know a lot of you say, oh, that's cool. You have to go up to Canada to catch pike like that. Not so. You can catch northern pike in this state. They're caught from the southern counties all the way up the west end of the UP. In fact, July and August are the best summer months for catching northern pike. I mean, better than May and June and better than September. So you can catch some big ones in this state. Now, we're going to switch gears a little bit from the fishing to go to the hunting. We're going to talk about duck hunting a minute, because at the outdoor fair in Brighton, Bob and Alice Steiner will be there with their retrievers. And these retrievers, of course, the point of training retrievers is to use them in duck hunting. So we're going to show you the field side of it, what happens in the fall with these retrievers to prepare you for our information update on the outdoor fair. So let's go to Walpohl Island. Oh, right ahead, right ahead, right ahead. Go ahead, Dick. Dick, go ahead. That was Alice. There you go. Oh, yes. The sky was unusually dark at daybreak. Lightning and thunderstorms had moved across Lake St. Clair a few hours earlier. Maybe that's why we didn't have a lot of action at first light. When the sun began breaking through the low-lying clouds, small groups of ducks began filtering across the marsh.
Right in front of you, Freddie.
Jesus. Second shot. Oh, I had a decent start on the day. 2 shots, 1 duck. Not bad. Alice, could you send Ben right straight out there? We got one right down. What? Oh, we got more coming here. Another group of ducks came winging in while Ben, the Steiner's Championship Labrador Retriever, was hunting up the bird that I had downed. He brought it back, and we heard lots of shooting a couple hundred yards away. I don't know why, when you're duck hunting in a marsh, it always sounds better somewhere else. Somebody was getting a lot of shooting. This was my first Canadian duck. In all the years I've hunted ducks in Michigan, I've never crossed over to Canada for waterfowl hunting until this year. September ducks can be a little tougher to identify because the young ducks of the year aren't always fully feathered and older birds may not be completely done with their molt. From the wide bill, though, it was easy to see that this was a shoveler. Bob Steiner is the guy who got us to try this Canadian duck season. The date was September 26th, the second day of the season on Walpohl Island. In 1994, it opened 2 weeks earlier than Michigan's season, and the limits are 6 birds rather than 3. You can use lead shot rather than steel on Walpohl. All right. Was that you, Bob? Good shot. Yep, right over there. Everybody told us that compared to opening day, this was really slow. Our hunting party of 4 had gotten a few ducks in the morning, but one of our Indian guides, Al Sands, suggested the 2 of us move 100 yards or so to a different opening in the marsh. He said it looked like the ducks were dropping in over there. So we set out a small spread of mallard decoys, about a dozen or so. You don't need a lot of decoys when you're hunting puddle ducks in marshes like this. The big spreads of decoys are used in more open water later in the season when the diving ducks migrate through. A few decoys, a small aluminum boat painted to match the vegetation, that's all you need. Shove it up into the reeds so you're camouflaged and you can hunt right from the boat. No, you can stand in the shallow water with your waders, but after a few hours that can get tiring. Hunting from a boat is nice. On this day, the ducks were not traveling in big flocks, which isn't all bad. Oftentimes, the singles are easy to lure in. They respond well to decoys and to calls. Oh, yes. Safety off. Oh, yes. Oh, great. Before I could shoot, the duck landed on the outside of the decoys. Now, duck hunting protocol says it isn't sportsmanlike to ground swat ducks, which means shooting them while they're sitting on the water. So I tried to flush it with my call. See if I can flush it. My calling didn't scare it, surprisingly, so I stood up and yelled. Hey, duck. Duck. Quack. Well, did you enjoy that, Al? Quite a performance.
Did you get that?
No. What do you mean, get that? I'm afraid he got it on tape, but I'm afraid. That's what I thought. Well, I never touched that duck, but that's hunting. Lead shot is legal here, and I seriously questioned whether sticking to steel was a wise decision, but number 2 steel brought ducks down.
Yes, yes, yes.
There, last shot. Okay, in the water there, though. Well, gonna have to go out and get that. Why don't I'll just jump out and go. Well, that duck didn't go down hard, and it landed in thick cover. Bad place to drop it, but I chased it right away. It's not easy. I'll tell you what, I don't intend to do this very often. That's a fact. Oh, man. No, there's no point in shooting them back in the weeds. No, this is not something I want to do, but that's a immature mallard. A little green on the head. Good eating. But at my age, I prefer to shoot them right out there. Fortunately, John Ford spares you the spectacle of me trying to throw my tired legs over the gunwale of the boat. This is what practical duck hunters use to retrieve their ducks. A bona fide seeing, sniffing, and listening retriever. This has been a hunting retriever club champion owned and trained by Bob and Alice Steiner of Marshland Kennels. The cove they were hunting is where we started at daybreak, and by sunset, ducks began drifting into this section of the marsh, so Dick Archer, John Ford, guide Al Sands, and I also drifted back to join them. We really wanted to be near that retriever at this stage of the game. Oh, right over. Right over here. Right over here. There we go. Oh! Yes. Well, Alice Steiner dropped that duck, but I think the thing she really enjoys most about this whole duck hunting deal is the dog work. She's spent many hours training retrievers, young and old, but Ben is the pride and joy of Bob and Alice. A good retriever watches the sky, eyeballs the ducks, and when one falls, he marks the spot. But a well-trained retriever won't leave the boat until he's released. And if he loses his bearings out on the water, he looks back at his trainer for hand signals. Oh, a good retriever is a real asset to a waterfowl hunter. And this is why Ben earns special treatment when he gets home. Duck hunting isn't easy. Even seeing the ducks can be tough. Now, how many are flying in front of us now? Well, it looks like, 5? Okay, now keep your head down so they don't see us. Oops! Should have seen that 4 coming from behind us, straight overhead. Well, our guides Al Sands and Tom Tushkinig were both excellent callers. And by day's end, even my shooting had improved. Guess who? No. Guess who? Huh? At last I redeemed myself. Oh, boy. Walpohl Island is Indian territory on the Canadian side of Lake St. Clair. Ontario regulations govern waterfowl hunting, but the rules aren't quite as rigid as we have here in the States. Hunters have to be accompanied by an Indian guide to hunt Walpohl. Most will provide decoys, but you should bring your own boat and a retriever if you have one. A good dog is nice to have unless every duck drops in front of you, which isn't likely. There we go. Oh, boy! Whoa. There goes Ben after right there. Now that's as close as an encounter as you can get. The night before the hunt, we bedded down at the Oaks Inn in Wallaceburg, Ontario, favorite meeting place for duck hunters. We spent a total of 16 hours in the marsh from launch to landing. Now, we weren't awake the whole time. It was a long day, but we did manage to get 22 ducks out of a possible 24. Now, we'll return to Walpohl in early November. They say the ducks come in by the thousands, just like the good old days. Oh, what a treat for a duck hunter. Once again, you don't have to go a long distance. You don't have to go to Manitoba or Ontario even to have duck hunting like that. And you don't have to go far to have dog work like that or see hunting dogs perform. You can see those retrievers at the outdoor fair coming up this weekend in Livingston County, right in Brighton. So right now, let's take a look at what we have coming up at the fair. Okay, first of all, the fair is this weekend, the 13th and 14th in Brighton, which is just off I-96 between Lansing and Detroit. It's at the Livingston Conservation Association, a shooting club, 68 acres of rolling hills and woods, lots of activities, like our Fun Clays machine. If you're a shotgun shooter, you can bring your shotgun, or if you just want to shoot 10 shots or so and pit your skill against me, We have loaner shotguns and shells, or you can use my shotgun if you want. But shooting will be one of the attractions at the fair. You can try a gun at the shoot-a-gun range, like a .44 pistol or a big-bore rifle. Answer Products makes muzzle brakes. They'll have guns outfitted with and without muzzle brakes. Try a 30-06 or a 375. See if the muzzle brake reduces the recoil and muzzle jump. Now, you can also try a muzzle loader. Now, on Sunday, representatives from the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association will be here to let people shoot. Karen King will demonstrate her skills at Clay's with a muzzle-loading shotgun. She's a champ. Now, if you want to shoot some archery, bring your bow. The Livingston Archers have a 3D course and novelty shoots. They have the bionic targets that you have to shoot through the middle of, or else you wreck your arrow, and the ever-popular Old Grizz, the target that's 150 yards away. That'll be set up. If you have a long bow or a recurve, bring it along to try clay targets in the air. The Livingston Archers will have foo-foo arrows to borrow. Now, we just got done showing you a duck hunt with Bob and Alice Steiner. They'll be showing everyone their techniques for training retrievers. Mark Raymond will be doing demonstrations on upland bird dog training. In fact, here's the seminar schedule for Saturday. Every 45 minutes, the topic changes: deer hunting, deer calling, dog training, carbon arrows for bow hunting. A lot of subjects will be covered. We've had lots of interest in the puppy alley. People have been calling and asking what kinds of puppies will be there. Well, we're not exactly sure, but we know a lot of different kinds. If you have sporting dog puppies for sale, get a hold of us tomorrow. The Livingston Archers will get you registered at the last minute. But a lot of people have called saying they're looking for puppies. 2 sanctioned duck calling contests on Saturday. Top duck callers from Michigan and several surrounding states will be competing. Todd Alofs will do a seminar on duck and goose calling on Sunday. The Great Lakes Ferret Association will have a ferret fest with domestic ferrets on display. If you're interested in this little critter, Mickey Wingate, the president of the association, will be here to answer questions and to show you why these little rascals have become so darn popular. Right now, we have over 50 exhibitors who will have an array of outdoor products and services to tell you about. Representatives from the Michigan Sportsman Congress and Kyle Randall himself will be talking to folks about the upcoming bear referendum. Practical attorney Sal Ghani will be at the fair on Sunday to answer questions about legal problems you might have. Oh, and Dr. Eddie Urban, our professor of recycology, will be there to teach you how to make things out of other things. You'd be amazed at the things he dreams up. And on Saturday only, special guest Rob Trott from the Great Lakes Outdoors TV show here on Michigan Public Television will be in a booth next to us. Come out and meet both Rob and me on Saturday. And here he is, Rob Trott, in our Practical Sportsman magazine. He has a page now in our magazine. We're trying to offer this to some of the other public TV shows here in Michigan. And this is our brand new magazine, hot off the presses. Tom Phillips, by the way, is the artist on the cover of this. He's done a number of our covers, and he will be at the outdoor fair. Let's run around the state here with our guide report, looking at some of the hot spots. Up in the Keweenaw, smallmouth bass limits. Over here in Marquette, they're getting lake trout limits, 10-pounders. Down here in Little Bay de Noc, they're getting some decent catches of perch. The mayflies have just finished there, but we still got mayflies. Muskogee Bay, we have limits of mayflies. They're just not catching fish. The only fish they're catching at Drummond is Cisco on mayflies. Pat and Gary's reports in Burton Mullet Lake, they're getting walleye, some walleye, but they still have mayflies there. Bucks and Alpena says they're getting some salmon and trout. It is pink salmon time, so the pinks are showing up. Wellman's and Oscoda, they're getting fair salmon and lake trout down in Linwood. They're saying perch are out in 8 to 15 feet of water, and they're getting some decent catches. Over here at Pilgrim's Village, this is Lakes Cadillac and Mitchell. Steve says they're getting crappie, gill, sunfish, bass, and walleye on leeches and crawlers. All around good fishing. Captain Amel off Manistee is getting some kings and lots of brown trout. At Whitehall, they're getting perch off the South Channel Wall. But south of here, the perch fishing hasn't been too hot. In fact, Saugatuck, they're catching walleye right now. South Haven, perch fishing has been slow. I'm going to be there, though, next Thursday morning. If you want to get out early and join me, I'm going to be on that boat. Over here next Friday, we're going to be over here at Lake St. Clair because the muskie fishing this is the peak time of year to do it. So we're going to be there next Friday. Frank's is reporting some limits of walleye in the Detroit River. Now, I have an event here I want to tell you about right there in Lansing. This is on Monday night, 5 p.m., Thomas Cooley Law School, my alma mater, the Federalist Society is bringing Daniel Polsby, who's a well-known professor of constitutional law at Northwestern. He's going to give a talk on crime, guns, and the Second Amendment. He's one law professor who is not for federalization of gun laws or crime laws, and he feels it should be up to the states to decide. If you have any interest in this area, the lecture is free, open to everybody in the auditorium at Thomas Cooley, and you bet that I'll be there. Now, right there, that's where it's going to be in Lansing. Here's Livingston County, halfway between Detroit and Lansing is Brighton. So to get to the fair this weekend, jump off of I-96, head north. It's exit 145 is what you want, the Grand River exit. There will be signs. It's just a couple miles north of the expressway. Signs will lead you to the Livingston Conservation Association, and that's where we're going to have the fair. That's where I'll be all weekend. I hope to see you there. Get outdoors if you can, if you're not coming to the fair, because the outdoors is a great place to be. See you next week.